7:20. Oh my goodness. And yes, January 4th, Tuesday. Wow. I think it's going to take me the rest of the week to get my whole life together with my goals and everything. So anyway, downloading some software, getting some issues. So I didn't get all the stats done. Don't need that. However, I got the important ones done. So far, we've sold 86 homes this first week. Unbelievable. And last year, same time, only 14. So we're on hopefully another record year, right? If we're starting out this strong. Yeah, we sold 35 homes to investors. So we're still, we're still doing a percentage of our daily sales for them. And I did the stat for last year's $1 million homes, and we ended up selling 1,672 compared to last year, 2020, 1,618. So 4.5 sales a day. And we'll see how that continues according to Brian Buffini's bold predictions. And Dr. Young, they say the luxury market is not going to be as affected as much as the lower end, and that's due to the interest rates. And I'm going to do a quick check here on my, make sure you can hear me. Had lots of issues today. See if we're luxury market is not. Yep, we do. You can hear me. Okie dokie. Yeah, so the market's starting out brisk, and I will finish the, well, maybe I will just wait till tomorrow and do the daily stats and save my time today. I have so many things. We're having meetings on goals and things like that with John's team and with our staff in property management and agent formula. So I've just decided this week I'm going to slow down and just do what I need to do for the first week and then hit the ground running next Monday. One of the things we're going to do today is I listened to Brian Buffini. He has gone to a new website for his podcasts, and it's no longer brianbuffini.com. It is now called it'sagoodlife.com. And hi, Karen. Good to see you, my dear. Good to see you. Good morning. Happy 2022. So anyway, Brian has gone to a whole new platform. It's called Acast. I looked it up, and it's fairly new as well. They've got a lot of options if you're looking to start your own podcast platform. It looks fairly interesting. I just briefly looked at it, so I don't have a lot of things to tell you about it. And my light just went off. This has been my morning, right? I can't work good every day, but it works pretty good. So anyway, it's a good life, that.com. So that's his new podcast platform. And, you know, he's starting out with an interesting podcast for the first of the year. And I think it's interesting enough because we're all thinking about our goals. We're all thinking about, I don't know if you do resolutions. I do goals. I talked to a friend of mine in Florida, and I told him that my goal for this year is to walk 750 miles. And I did one year do 1,000 miles. That was like 4 or 5 years ago. I think if I do between 600 and 750 this year, I'll be happy. And I want to lose a couple pounds, but more importantly, I want to tone my muscles. I kind of got away from that this past year with John's going back and forth to California, his hip being replaced and other things like that. So I kind of got off my rhythm, but I'm going to get back on it. In fact, we are going to start going back up to the fitness center here. I mean, we can walk there, it's like a half a mile walk. So that's good too. So anyway, I want to play Brian Buffini's podcast today, and I recorded it so that we don't have to get interference with the internet or anything like that, so we can all listen to it. Yeah, I am so excited about this year. John's in perfect health again, finally. Still mending, but still no issues for this year. We're going to just hit the ground running, and we're both going to be working out. We're both going to be toning our bodies, and at the same time, it improves your mind when you do that. One of the things that Brian Buffini says, and we'll listen to him say it, that if you're drifting meaning, you don't really have a goal, you don't know where you're going, a ship at sea, if it drifts, it ends up, on some shore somewhere shipwrecked. And that's kind of what happens to us if we don't have plans. If you need goals, but I want to always say, if you need the plan that goes with the goal, and then you need to have a timeline of when you're going to execute. So you need the goals, you need the plan to achieve the goals, and you need a timeline to hold yourself accountable to execute those plans. So those are very key points. And then he says, if you're in heaven, it's because you're steering life, and life is habits and patterns. So I want to get started with him right away, so that I don't jabber on like I can do. So let's get him up here. Come on, Brian. Okay, I think I probably have to solo him today. All right. He's not showing. Show. I'm going to bring him back in again. Not sure. We'll get him again. Hang on, everybody. My computer has just been like this all day. Okay, we're fine. Here we go. Come on, show. That is so weird. He's not showing, everybody. If I have media problem, let's see, let's get rid of this and throw those on.
Been known as the real estate guy, and with good reason. I spent 10 years as a real estate agent, and the next 25 years building the largest real estate training and coaching company in the world. But along the way, I discovered people wanted a lot more than just what I had to share about real estate and selling homes. And the very system I actually taught was work by referral, live the good life. And now I see more and more people not only in need of the good life, but also the type of inspiration and the strategies it takes to live the good life. So from this point on, this show will be referred to as the It's a Good Life podcast. You as our listener won't really notice much of a difference. Your RSS feed will continue to download the episodes automatically. But what you will have is the opportunity to share this show with even more people from whatever walk of life they're in. Anyone who wants to feel better, think better, and do better. That's what this show is about, and that's who we want to help. You're also going to notice more frequency of episodes. I'm making more of a commitment to this program. You'll see higher profile interviews that I'll be doing as I'm making more and more of a full-time commitment to filling you up with the good stuff. Now, it takes a significant commitment of staff and resources to put this podcast on. People really don't understand that. We've been doing this show for free for 5 years. I have a bunch of staff, a facility, all kinds of expenses already associated with it, and we're about to make an even greater investment. So to really take the next step, we've been blessed to have some sponsors and advertisers step up as we make this more substantial investment to reach more people. People have been trying to advertise on this show for years and years and years. We've hand-selected the people who are going to promote and market their goods and services on this show. It's products and services we believe in. We've partnered with them. And as our loyal audience, I hope that you will understand who these folks are and give them a shot at your business in the months and years to come. So welcome to the very first episode of the It's a Good Life podcast. But as usual, I have 3 main points for you. And I want to talk about getting the year off to a good start. So I'm talking about having good habits for a good life. Good habits for a good life. And I have 3 main points for you. The first one is kind of the warning. There's too much comfort in our comfort zone. So if you want to have a good life, which ultimately sounds comfortable to people, you ultimately don't want to have too much comfort. Second, we're going to talk about how it's time to reflect. It's time to reflect, and we want to feel better, think better, do better. And then we're going to get into some how-tos, which is good goals lead to a good year. So let's kind of dive right in. It's true. What we want is comfort. We all want comfort, especially when we're stressed. During COVID, people were eating comfort food and developed habits of comfort. We got to stay at home and be more comfortable. But I want to share that definitely there's some good parts to comfort, but a life full of comfort is not a good life. And we're going to talk about that. Comfort by definition is a pleasant and satisfying feeling of being physically or mentally free from pain and suffering. Well, geez, that sounds pretty good. I'd like to be free from pain and suffering, and wouldn't we all? The dynamic is, unfortunately, human beings grow under stress. I was having a conversation with my son Alex last night, and he was sharing, a little sticker he has in his car, and it says, "Tough times produce tough men. Tough men produce good times. Good times produce weak men." It's kind of a reminder for himself when things aren't going so good that there's a blessing to the tough times and at what it produces. It ultimately produces some good. Our muscles grow under stress. Now, we don't want to be stressed out, but under pressure of movement and activity and trying to grow, our muscles grow when we put them under stress. The fibers have micro tears in them. And as those tears are healed back up, that's where you feel that lactic acid when you first start working out. That's the healing process taking place. And what's happened is those muscles are getting bigger. They're getting stronger. They're getting fitter. And so that's what we need to do. So I'm going to talk about that. Too much comfort in our comfort zone. So the first thing that happened with that is COVID. We basically had a worldwide state-imposed mandates and orders to stay at home. Stay at home. And with that came all kinds of things. And this has gone on and on and on for an extended period of time. And it's produced some good things, and it's produced some not so good things, and some habits that we've drifted into that seem very comfortable. But you think about it. Like if you picture the comfort zone, right? Someone's sitting back in their chair, feet up. They have whatever their snack of choice is, whatever their comfort food is of choice. They have a beverage in hand, feet up, watching the box. Now, that's the picture of comfort. What if a person stays in that place? I mean, what if you stayed like that for 24 hours or 48 hours or 72 hours? You wouldn't be able to move. You'd be so stiff. You'd feel sick eating that type of food all the time. Mentally, you wouldn't be that sharp just sitting there watching TV or program after program after program. So here's the definition of a comfort zone. It's meant to rest and recover and to be of comfort. It's not meant to be a permanent state, and it sure as heck is not a key ingredient to the good life. So COVID produced some habits, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. Next, stay at home has produced a work-life shift. Culturally, that's kind of extraordinary. 16% of companies globally, according to Owl Labs, are now fully remote. 100% of their staff are remote. For over 500 days, Buffini Company had all of its staff working from home. And now we have people come in a couple of days a week and off and on and that kind of stuff. 45% of full-time U.S. employees work from home, either all, 25%, or part of the time, 20%. Again, that's cool. There's some good things that's come out of that. There's some work-life balance things that have come out of that. But I'm also going to say this to you. People do better together. People inspire one another. People champion one another. Physical connection and interaction, the electricity between people. When that stuff is missing, it becomes comfortable. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's the best. And so this is another part of it. And I'm not saying if you're working from home, you're doomed. I'm just going to say this. If you're working from home, you'd better have some good habits in your life so that you get out and about, up and around, intentionally interact with people, intentionally seek out fellowship and connection. You better have that in your plan. Otherwise, you'll find yourself in the lazy boy emotionally, personally, even spiritually. And then the third thing I see with too much comfort in a comfort zone is isolation. You know, it's funny when you're home, right? You don't really have to get dressed up to go to work or, you know, those kinds of things. The bra sales went in the tank, shaving went down, all that kind of stuff. I saw a funny little bumper sticker there. My boyfriend's been working from home so long, he now refers to pants as hard pants, you know, because he's sitting around the home wearing sweats all the time. Well, you know, again, it's comfortable, but I just don't know that we go through life wearing sweats all day long, or you end up with a sweats mindset. A great friend of mine, he's a speaker named Joe Ehrman, said to me one time, he said, "Brian, when I hear you speak, I always hear you bring comfort to the afflicted and you tend to afflict the comfortable." If that's the case, then fair enough. And so if you're a little too comfortable today, I hope to afflict you. I hope to challenge you to get out of your comfort zone, get out and about. I've been kind of upping my social media game, and I've also made a commitment. I'm out and about, I'm traveling, I'm visiting places, I'm doing things with my kids and family. So I've been posting these pictures from all over the world, and I always get a few comments, why are you doing this? You should be staying indoors. And again, I understand that people have sensibilities towards COVID and masks and vaccines and all that stuff. But I will also tell you that throughout history, there have always been people who've been in fear, living small lives. When they see somebody living a big life, not being in fear, they try to pull you down. And now with COVID, they have a justification for it. You're being unsafe because you made a commitment to go see your mom in Ireland. You're not being safe because you brought your kids to a football game in Texas. And so here's the thing I want to say. I'm respectful of people. I'm respectful of wishes. I don't get involved in politics. It's too small. But I will say this. I have no time for people who want to bring me down because they're fearful, they're scared, and they're not going outside. What I want to do is champion people who want to get outside, who want to get back to living a good life, who want to get back and travel, who want to see people and see the world, who want to achieve great things. That's what I'm after. And I'll lead the fearful people to live fearful lives. They'll always be with you, and they'll always be with us. There'll always be people who are fearful, scared, and small. And it's okay. That's how you get to choose your life. That's what the freedom of life is. It's just not my life. It's also not my audience. Now, if you've been drifting into that comfortable stuff and it's time to get out of it, great. Then my second major point's for you. It's time to reflect. It's time to reflect. I have a couple of quick questions for you. What good habits did you pick up in the last 12 months? So there's some good things from the recent circumstances. What good habits, and I want you to make a list of your good habits, something you picked up in the last 12 months. And I'm going to share in a couple of days with you my best habits. And I'm going to do a little bonus episode for you. Kind of my best habits, what's working well for me. I'll also share some of the things I've drifted into. And that's my second thing. Where have you drifted in the last 12 months? And then what are the one or two habits you need to introduce to your life to have a great year, So those are a couple of things. So first of all, what good habits did you pick up in the last 12 months? A habit is a pattern of behavior acquired by frequent repetition. So what's a good habit you picked up in the last 12 months? Something you've started doing and you've started doing frequently. And I want you to think about this because you put this away and you put this in your mindset and your psyche. So, yeah, that's right. I do that. And, give yourself a little pat on the back and also reinforce, yeah, I'm doing this and it's a good thing to do. The more difficult one is where have you drifted in the last 12 months? Now, sometimes it's hard to reflect upon those things ourselves. And so this is where I'll just tell you what I did, which is I sat down with my bride. We went out to a really nice place for dinner. We had a really nice time. And then I said to her, I'm doing a little work for the new year. Where have you seen me drift in the last 12 months where I'm not quite on it the way I was on it? And, of course, she doesn't want to hurt my feelings or whatever else. But I said, no, look, I want this. And she shared a couple of things. A couple of them were, yeah, I had that on my list. And then one of them was like, oh, really? Geez. So sometimes we need a little bit of that, and you need a little bit of intestinal fortitude to go ask the ones you love that maybe, you're open to grow. You want to change. You want to be your best. And you're open to it. And hopefully the person has enough skill to be able to communicate it without hitting you over the head with a sledgehammer. George Bernard Shaw said, to be in hell is to drift. To be in heaven is to steer. And drift sounds like not too damaging a thing, but if you drift at sea, you die. And so to be in hell is to drift. To be in heaven is to steer. If you want to have a good year, you got to steer this year. And the first thing you got to steer is your own habits, your own life, your own patterns. And then lastly, what are the one or two habits you need to introduce to your life for a great year? And again, in a couple of days, I'm going to give you a few tips on this. But Aristotle said, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, it's a habit. Now, that's from a couple thousand years ago, and it's pretty wise stuff. We are what we repeatedly do. What do you repeatedly do? And is there a possibility to change? Of course there is. Of course there is. So we examine kind of the comfort zone and what that looks like. Then we do a bit of reflection. Now, maybe we can do something about it. So this might be helpful for you. I think so. I've helped a lot of people in this area over the last 25 years. In seminars alone, we've had 3 million people write out their goals. And the reason for it is, I was a young fella. I was trying to achieve. I was ambitious. I was struggling. And I came across someone who taught me how to set a goal properly. And that day changed my life. I know where I was. I was at the Del Mar Hilton, and I was at a seminar. I learned a technique that was developed by a man by the name of Lou Tice. And I wrote a goal. And I wrote a goal in a way, first of all, I'd never written a goal before. But I wrote a goal in a way I had never written before. And it was transformative. That really changed everything for me. So I've been teaching goal setting for 25 years. I have tens of thousands of clients who've just said this has all changed their life forever. And this is really a great habit to get into. And so a goal is different than a New Year's resolution. I've seen the stats over the years. 25 years ago, it used to be 10% of people set New Year's resolutions. And then it became 78% of people set New Year's resolutions. And then it was like 2 years ago, it was back to like 13% of people set New Year's resolutions because they don't work. And that might be true because habits are hard to break. But goals are a big deal. And goals are not resolutions. Goals are where you're resolved. And there are different type of goals that you need to set. So the first thing is you want to do a 5-circle assessment. Okay? You want to do a 5-circle assessment, and it's where are you spiritually? And we do this little resource that we have where spiritual, family, business, financial, personal. Personal is physical and emotional well-being. And rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. And the key ingredient is you go through this, okay, spiritually I'm at this, and in our family relationships right now, we're over here in my health, I'm here, my financial life is here. And this is the key to success, especially in America, because someone writes down I'm a 5. You might be very generous to yourself, or you might be being very harsh to yourself. But success is 10. And I say, if you want to have a good year, success is going from a 5 to a 6. Now you might say, man, that's not life-changing. But if you go from a 5 to a 6 spiritually, and you go from a 6 to a 7 in your family, and you went from a 4 to a 5 in your finances, and you went from a 6 to a 7 in your business, and you went from a 4 to a 5 in your health, all together, it's a massive change. It's a massive change. All 5 areas see one complete digit of improvement. All together, it becomes quantum. And next thing you know, you've had this major leap. Because the other dynamic of human beings is when we go, oh my gosh, I'm 100 pounds overweight, I'm going to lose 100 pounds, I'm going to do it in 90 days or 6 months. The chances of that happening are almost 0. It's too overwhelming. Your subconscious mind goes into terror mode and snaps on the brakes. So we need to do a 5-circle assessment on a scale of 1 to 10. Where are you? And I believe we have a little resource that we're going to give you as our very first episode on the It's a Good Life show here that we're going to give you so you can take and do that. And then we're going to have you write some goals. And the goals are going to be 10-day goals and then 10-month goals. And the 10-day goals are ultimately, 10-day is what gets you started. And that's the key. You just need some momentum. And once you get some momentum, man, you start to feel, as my mother says in the Irish blessing, may the wind always be at your back. Well, when you're doing 10-day goals and you're checking off the box, you feel like the wind is at your back. You're moving towards the good life. You've written something down, you made a commitment, and you started doing it. And what do we know about writing a goal down as opposed to having a goal in mind? Most people have goals in mind. It is 7 times more likely to happen when you have a goal that's written down as opposed to a goal in mind. So we need to get the ball rolling. So we're going to assess ourselves. Where are we at on a scale of 1 to 10? I'm going to do 10 days. I'm going to try to improve each area of my life by 1. I'm going to do this one thing. It's spiritually. I'm going to do this one thing in my family. I'm going to do this one thing with my finances. I'm going to do this one thing for my health. And it can be something simple. A friend of mine said, I'm going to stop drinking pop and start drinking water. Fantastic. I mean, that's huge. Over the course of a year, transformative to that person's health. Okay? So we do the 10 days and then we do 10 months. And 10 months is really kind of brings a deeper level of motivation. So if you want to get that assessment to find out where you are and rate yourself a little bit in each one of the 5 circles, or you want to get the 10-day and the 10-month goal sheets, just go to itsagoodlife.com and you can download those, write out your goals, do the assessment. You'll be well on your way to having a good year. A goal by very nature is the end to which all effort is directed. The end to which all effort is directed. Have you ever felt like you wasted some effort? Have you ever felt like you're spinning your wheels? you know, maybe right now you're just like, you're done with it. I'm going to tell you a little story. My mom was coming up to her 91st birthday. My dad's about to have his 90th birthday. My brother Dermot was home visiting them. I'd been traveling a lot. Just did a big event in Tennessee. Went to visit my in-laws in Georgia, Bev's parents. And I said, my gosh, I'm almost here. You know, I'm only a few hours away, and it's only a few hours time difference. So I had my assistant FedEx my passport to me. We booked a flight. I got on the plane. And on my mom's 91st birthday, I went strolling down the road. The flower shop around the corner is called Dundrum Blooms. And I always have flowers ordered from my mom. I went, picked them up, and I delivered them in person. And it was fabulous. It was absolutely fabulous. But my mom and dad, you know, 91 and 90, Ireland had very, very serious lockdown restrictive practices in place. And other than going to doctor's appointments, my mother hadn't sat outside the house in 2 years. So myself and my brother took a bit of cajoling, took a bit of discussing, a bit of negotiation, and we got her to go up to the golf club. And we've been members of a golf club for years. It's a real working man's club, fantastic people, called Newlands at Newlands Cross. We went up there. My mother used to head up the women's golf and girls golf, and she was just a great supporter of getting young girls into golf and everything else. So we went up there on Ladies' Day, which happened to be her birthday. A lot of her old friends started coming by one at a time to say hello, pay their respects. They went out and got a birthday cake for her, and we just had a great day. We had a meal. We had a great day. And she kind of got back to what life used to be like prior to COVID. She'd been at home in her comfort zone and had become, without knowing it, extremely uncomfortable. She turned to me and she said, enough of COVID. Like, I had a bit of life today. It felt like a bit of life today. My gosh, I realized how small I've been living, and I had a great day today. And, you know, let's see if we can do another one of these. She realized she'd gotten into some bad habits. She realized it was so hard to get her to do this. Her thinking wasn't great. She wasn't feeling great. She wasn't thinking great. And because of that, she wasn't doing great. We had a great time at home. It was fantastic, a rejuvenative time. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of people are in that spot who aren't 91 years of age. There's a lot of talk now and a lot of very definitive statements of what we need to do and how we need to do it. And it's all justified around a national, international health crisis and so on and so forth. And all of that is true. But here's the thing. If you take a vaccine and wear a mask and do all that stuff, you can take everything. Do all that stuff if you want, whoever you are. But the fact of the matter is, there are people who are playing small. There are people who are full of fear. There are people who intend to not achieve much, and they don't want you to do it either. And they want you to stay fearful just with them, because misery, as my mom always said, loves company. Well, that's not what this show is about, and that's not what I'm hitting the airwaves about. I want to encourage people to live the good life as I try to live the good life myself. A very example of the good life is being here with all of you today and pouring my heart and soul and all of our team, preparing all of this work to try to bless your life. We do have a little too much comfort in our comfort zone. It is time to reflect, and it is time to get the good life goals and get that little resource, download that, do the homework assignment, write out your goals, and get it set up. Now, with all that said, I'm going to leave you today with the newly revitalized Therese Buffini, who's taught me a lot about the good life. We're going to continue on the tradition of the Brian Buffini show by having my mom finish off our broadcast with an Irish blessing. And as I hope you hear this Irish blessing in a new way today, that it's ultimately ushering in for you a new life, a good life. Thanks for joining us. I'm excited about the future. Tell your friends, let them know. If people who want to feel better, think better, and do better, we've got a program for them. We'll see you next time. God bless.
May the road rise up to meet you.